Kia ora, Lara here, and this is my layout for Scraptember Day 10. The challenge or the kind of focus for today was 6x6 pads. Now, I don't have any 6x6 pads, but I did have these sort of paper sampler pieces. You can sort of see the hole in the top where there was a jump ring at one point, papers that I decided to pull out to use for this challenge. This is going to be a really simple layout. I'm just sort of creating at the moment a bit of interest with the papers, and I'll mix up a couple of things, but to start with I'm just going to add some splatters in the background. So I'm just picking a couple of colours from my handy dandy paint tray here and just splattering this. Now the splatters didn't come out so great when I did that, so I decided just to use a pencil behind just to really get some colour onto the background of this 8.5 by 11 piece of white daisy cardstock. So for those of you who have seen my other Scraptember layouts, I am working through an 8.5 by 11 album that I'm creating of tramping on the Copeland track, which is a pretty cool track over in the west coast of New Zealand. The beauty of it isn't the length of the track, but it is the natural hot pools at the top. So you walk for a fairly long time. It's not like a really hard tramp, it's just long. But when you get to the top, there's all these natural hot pools and they're just amazing. And this photo is taken up at the top at Welcome Flat at the hut, near the hut that's up there. And just beyond the hut, or sort of the track to the pool, sort of veers off a little bit. And there's this sort of hanging rock cave, a bivvy type thing, which I think people can stay in if they really want to, sheltered from the rain and stuff like that, but it's just up there. It's just quite a cool spot, and it was signposted from the track. So what I've done is I've got these the 6x6 papers, and I've actually cut them down to 8 1/4, so that I'm going to be able to have two of them side by side on the that background there. So you can just sort of see, just added a bit of interest, changed it out a little bit instead of just one colour, sort of a, I don't know what you'd call this design, is it sort of a horizontal perspective with the papers just going all the way across. And so lining them up using the Versamat here, it's quite handy with the lines and marking, so I can make sure that I'm getting it at the right point and nice and straight. So the same with this sort of other piece here, and tucking them in. So it was quite handy that these 6x6 sampler packs were kind of natural colours, sort of that tied in really nicely. So I decided I'm going to add some stitching, and I've just grabbed out my old Close to My Heart ruler that I think I got when I signed up as a maker actually almost 6 years ago now. So I'm just using the paper piercer through that, and I've created holes all the way around these two pattern paper pieces that I've stuck down. Now I've chosen this sort of bluey coloured embroidery floss here that I'm just going to put through and stitch all the way around the edge, but I won't make you watch that. I've gone ahead and skipped that, and now I'm just sort of going to add some more splatters and stuff, because I felt that it was too neat and tidy for me. It just didn't fit my style, but just adding this little bit of the gilt gold, what do you call them, acrylics gloss on there, and I decided to add a little bit of white as well, just because it wasn't quite jumping out enough. The white won't be that visible on the white daisy cardstock, but it does show up a little bit on the grey and the green that's there, that I've cut from the 6x6 pad. So just going to curl up the edges of the lining of the papers that I backed the photo with, just to give that little bit more lift, a little bit texture, and it is something that I do seem to do on almost every layout that I put together. I don't like lots and lots of thickness, but I don't mind some thickness, and I find that just curling up the paper adds a little bit of height without the weight. So just centering that photograph on there, and happy with sort of the general layout or the general yeah, the general way this is coming together. So I'm now going to turn the mat over. So the reason I turn the mat over is because it's got a nice foam side, which is really good for a stamping surface. So I'm just going to use this sort of typewriter alpha just to add some words up the left side there of the photograph. And yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not super graphic or anything like that. So I'm just putting these over that side, and this will form the title. So it's a really unobtrusive, what would you call it? Not super dominating, probably is the word I'm thinking of, title here. So I'm now going to add my journaling down the bottom. I just took out some of that footage about the stamping. It just was going to be a bit laborious going through that process, and just writing a wee little bit of a note about this sort of part of the tramp. Sorry about the light on the photo there, it's a little bit distracting. So that is pretty much it. If you've enjoyed this, I hope you'll subscribe. I am at this stage about 75 subscribers away from reaching 1,000, and yeah, I'd love to have you join me on this creative journey. Make sure you check out the Scraptember playlist below as well, so that you will be able to see what others are creating with these different themes. Thanks for watching.